Hi there, welcome to the Noah Presgrove Case. Today I wanted to do a focused discussion looking into the theme of possible fights and or simple arguments, physical, verbal or both, in regard specifically to Noah Presgrove and Jack Newton. And no, we're not focusing in directly on Saturday or past midnight going into Sunday morning. That in its own right is kind of all over the place with what Justin has said compared to what Caden has said. We can go to that at another point in time. But right now, I want to focus on a particular event of a similar theme, which just has not been acknowledged the same way since. And I'm just trying to wonder why that's the case. I mean, have people forgotten? Or is it just not that important? Has it been debunked, ruled out? Well, hopefully in today's video, it might indirectly lead to some additional answers, responses by people in the live chat or the comment section down below. And for anyone watching this live premiere, welcome. Feel free to use the live chat on the right hand side. And if you do have any answers, updates, just to make it easier and to help other people along the way, you can leave a comment down below. And even if you don't have updates, you can just let me know your thoughts and opinions in regard to what you think went down. Did anything actually happen? Has it been exaggerated? Does it make a person a witness of some sort? Because it all comes down to the timing of the event. And if I haven't made it clear enough, I will do in just a second. What I'd also like to add in is, if you are interested in previous coverage by me, videos that I've done last night, days before, and you want to catch up on that, you'll be able to find it top right corner of the screen where the eye symbol is. Click on there, you'll get the full playlist and some loose videos as well. And if you do want to support this channel in alternative practical ways, you can do so down below in the comment section, pinned message by me, where the PayPal link is. With that being said, big shout out to those that have supported the channel in recent time and on and off in the background too. It's all good to see. I guess last night's video was a true example of how coverage can be done on the case, whilst other messy stuff is going on elsewhere. It's just a matter of what needs to be covered at a point in time. And right now, I think it's the time to cover the theme of arguments, possible confrontation, the timing of it. And if need be, I can always do maybe a demonstration, a reconstruction, maybe over there to a small extent, just to put my point across in terms of being a witness or in terms of any hard feelings, any grudges, who knows. So I can also incorporate Google Earth, satellite imagery too, like just with the visual aspect and telling it that way. But to make it clear right now as the introduction part is, whilst you had the argument between Noah and Jack, and it was supposedly Noah starting it with Jack because of what Jack had done to Noah's girlfriend behind his back, supposedly. And Noah wasn't too pleased with it, which is understandable. In regard to how Jack Newton has spoken about it himself, all he worded it as was girl trouble, girl talk. That's mainly it. And we both apologised, making it seem as if both were responsible, both were to apologise to one another. But if it was true what Jack did to Noah's girlfriend, then really only one person should be apologising there. So could you say that's a form of manipulation, minimisation, grouping one or more people together to make it seem like you're all in the same boat, whereas one is the problem, the other one isn't. One is the victim, the other one is not. But you're grouping each other as a victim to one another, even though it shouldn't be the case. These are just little questions and points I put across like I've done so in the past. And I will still to this day, because I look at it from all aspects, basically. But the problem is, with this argument, there's been talks within the community and discussions over time, and more so in the earlier days compared to now. Nowadays, not many people, or not often, acknowledge the argument on Monday. Has it been debunked, cleared up? I wouldn't know. That's why I'm making this video. In terms of everything that I've seen over time, I've not seen any debunkings. The last time I brought it up properly would have been Partners in True Crime with their pre-recorded interview with Jack Newton. And when Jack was supposed to mention the part of the argument between him and Noah on the Monday, either at the time of 3:30 or just a little bit beforehand, instead of mentioning it, compared to how it may have been mentioned in the past, and I'll be honest with you, maybe more so by just people in the community and Justin Roy. Take that how you will. At the time of when I was anticipating Jack Newton to possibly acknowledge that second argument in the interview, he didn't. He talked about something completely different, which has never been mentioned before, at least on the public surface level, and that's to do with Logan Jernigan being the last person to see Noah walk away. Now, in my mind in the past, my interpretation was if there was a final argument between Noah and Jack, and it was at the time or around 3:30, it would make Jack the last person to see Noah walk away. But because Jack hasn't acknowledged that, or at least not acknowledged since, it's kind of up in air for discussion. And some people may know more. Some people may think this is complete BS, and that's okay. You can explain it down below. But these videos are to spread awareness of forgotten events, forgotten stuff, which maybe there's truth to it. And if there isn't, it just hasn't been publicly cleared up enough. It just fades away into obscurity, like many other things, which will just lead to people scratching their heads over time and no true clean-up job being done. So if it can be cleaned up today, that's great. If it can be reinforced, even better, because that would mean a bit of more progress within the case. Now, when it comes to Justin Roy, because he's the one that I first heard him say it, 2 arguments between Noah and Jack. As said, at the end of the day, not all arguments have to be physical, doesn't always have to be overly heated or lead to fights or threats. It could just be an exchange of words, but still, there can be meaning behind it. See, what people will say in life is, actions speak louder than words. But at times, it's the words that create action in the first place. It's the words that can penetrate in and through to someone to reveal their true self in different ways. That doesn't seem to be acknowledged much by most humans out there. That's why separate me from all. But with that being said, as we can talk on, I think it's fair to apply it to the maps right now to point out the locations of where these supposed events did take place and the significance of it to when Noah walked away, or the possibilities of it. Let's head on over. This time round, I'm going to be using a basic timeline, which is to do with Jack Newton, or at least one of them which are constructed in the past. This is a bit of an older project and made the odd adjustment based off conversations of when Jack supposedly woke up. Didn't add in the correction by Robin Ashley Chadwick because that's from their mouth and not Jack's, or people closer to Jack giving their thoughts. And the reason why I'm providing these timelines on screen to do with Jack is because there is a contrast, obviously, with Noah Presgrove. If you're asleep, you can't really be arguing with someone unless you're able to sleepwalk, or maybe you're able to talk in your sleep and speak in Chinese. Don't know if you'll be able to understand that. I mean, someone like me, obviously I would. But that's something completely different. So, party house is where it's all taking place. Some arguments here and there. Is it the end of the world? Well, like the Saturday one, some say there was a bit of a tussle, pushing and shoving, and Caden had to break it up, as in the words of Justin, and Caden didn't acknowledge anything of that nature or extreme. So, was it exaggerated? Was it a forced agenda to make it seem worse than what it really was, to paint Jack Newton in a negative, aggressive way? Was there then an agenda to push a false narrative that there was a second argument to make Jack look bad, make him look like the person of interest? And how would that come about? See, this is where we can start constructing it and add in why it would be of people's interest to make it up or to exaggerate what happened on Monday, and based on the timing. And surprisingly, no time was given. But I think similar to some extent with what Justin said about the Saturday argument, it was interpreted as Saturday. But Caden Pressey said it was past midnight going into Sunday morning, a different day. So Caden, who was actually there to witness it to some extent, was aware of the time. Justin wasn't. Justin wasn't there. Caden didn't mention anything about a second argument, and even if there was one, Caden's supposedly asleep, but based off his 3:20 timeline of when going back to sleep, you could put the argument across and say, well, he could have heard something in that space of time. It comes down to the location of where a possible argument came from. So there might be criticism where people say it never happened, so this video isn't needed. Well, I'm not aware of that at this moment in time because this is a pre-recorded video. Furthermore, we can also, or you can look at it from the alternative perspective of if it did happen, how it could benefit some, how it could paint others in a negative light. Take it that way if you want. So, in terms of what we've got here, Jack and what was said in the past, at least, supposedly. I believe it was the 11:31, Jack Newton, Carter Cone's girlfriend, both going to sleep Sunday night at 11:30 p.m. Told Victor Presgrove, Noah's father, that. But then it changed to actually going to sleep 1 in the morning. And that was mentioned to some other Presgrove family members. And then it was changed to 2 in the morning. Now, why did it change so much? Not too sure. Some have said the reason why it changed from 1 to 2 in the morning is because there was photo evidence and proof to say that Jack was still awake at 1:50 in the morning with Noah in the bathroom. So I know some people have mentioned that, and yeah, I can understand. Whilst yes, others and Caden may have been inconsistent with times and discrepancies, Jack has been as well in some ways, like what's documented on screen. In terms of the shower situation, 3 in the morning onwards, supposedly. From Caden's point of view, 2:40, the side-by-side rollover would be nice, but we don't have the time to measure the distance from rollover to shower. Was there an urgency or not? You know, in the eyes of those that say Noah wasn't injured, as said by Carter, he was just dirty, needed a wash. Then when Caden says, either Brooke or Stevie, about Noah having either a busted lip or nose, bit of blood, bit more urgency to take care of that, whether it be to make sure you're okay or just to make sure no blood gets anywhere. If you're a little bit injured, more urgency. If you're not as injured, not at all, not as much urgency. Yeah, so there is that. But what about the second argument between Noah and Jack? What was it actually about? Was it girl trouble again? Was it something completely different? I mean, was there a point in time when Noah was talking to Carter in the party house at some point and Jack got jealous of that? See, that narrative has faded away. The ship has sailed away, as some people would say. And we'll get onto the road first of all, just so I can continue talking. There was that theme for some time about Jack being jealous. What pissed Jack off? You know, was it Noah's behaviour? When Noah is drunk, he becomes flirty with girls, women, females, as Caden said. How true is that? Well, there's a fair chance. But would it put Jack in an awkward position or where he feels insecure and lashes out? That, it's just not been mentioned much since. Is that because the agenda has driven away, faded off, and focus is elsewhere? Because this is the thing, if people are trying to construct it, that there is an argument and it's getting a bit out of hand and it leads to much more after that, could link to Noah's death, or those involved in the argument, maybe the last people to at least see Noah walk away if it's near to that time, so it makes them a possible witness besides Logan Jernigan. And what more did they see? Did they follow? Did anything happen after that? Was there a lead up? Was there a grudge? How long did it last for? And more. See, I think it was Jack that said it in the earlier days about, the argument, but They kissed, they made up, not literally, then had breakfast the next day and it was all okay and fine. Noah Presgrove isn't here to defend himself. Noah isn't around to give his side of how the argument went down and how it was and the atmosphere at the time, and that's unfortunate. But are there any other witnesses about any other partygoers that were directly there that saw it and heard it? I guess you can just say it couldn't have been that big of a deal simply because Noah was okay going with them to Warwick gas station for breakfast. And Noah was okay enough in being convinced to return back to the party afterwards on Sunday and going into the afternoon. If it was that big of a deal, then Noah probably just would have blanked it, said, no, I'm okay. And like what we've heard from Caden, at times Noah will just back off to cool down, get away from things, and return back so the atmosphere isn't as awkward. And that's tense times like that. So things where you're best friends with someone and there's a bit of commotion or disruption, should be able to work things out. Because this is the thing. I guess we'll mention it now, the psychology behind it. You heard it from some people in the community and even some of Noah's family members. They don't want it to be one of Noah's friends or loved ones responsible for the death. And others just never thought that would be possible in the first place, or at a later point didn't think it was possible. There is that. Between the dynamics of Noah and Jack and just in general in life, is that when you're in the presence of someone, depending on what capacity it is with them, there's going to be a deeper psychological effect. The more you love someone, the more you're connected to someone, the more it will hurt if you're betrayed, stabbed in the back, damaged physically, psychologically, verbally, in different ways. But the further you go with someone, the more progress that's made. The longer you know someone, the more comfortable you may be, the more you lower your guard and open up. That down the line, if anything did happen, just like with Jack and Noah, it's going to sting, it's going to burn 10,000 times more than if you was complete strangers with one another, right? So with Noah being best friends with Jack, has there been a time in the past where either Noah or Jack has gone behind one another's back and flirted with one another's girlfriends at the time? I mean, is it usual behaviour or not? If it's not happened before and it's the first time now, you can understand it would hurt more. But this is the thing, the dynamics are a bit skewed because Noah, in a way, could be, from at least the narrative, what we've heard of, Noah could be considered the victim in that circumstance. You've gone behind my back, you flirted with my girlfriend and you think that's okay. And even if it is resolved, it sits with you for some time maybe. Of course, it sounds one-sided because not that people will approve of it, but, you know, has there been a time in the past where Jack Newton has been screwed over by Noah Presgrove? I mean, at the end of the day, reality is, no matter how close you are with someone, it's not going to always be perfect. And if you imagine it to be that way, then it's just not, I guess, realistic or natural. If it's too perfect, it's not natural. There'll be good times, rough times, and things in between, but there should be a greater understanding between two, if not more, if it's a group situation. But if anything did happen between Noah and Jack at that party, if there have been times like that in the past, rough waves here and there, it's been resolved shortly afterwards, and then one or two move forwards. Right? So yes, the trade-off is the longer, the deeper you know someone, the more hurtful and impactful it can be when stuff goes wrong. But the greater the understanding and the gluing back together shortly afterwards, if you've known them long enough. But of course, if it's such a situation, just in general, that you may know someone for some time, a little minor bump in the road, no pun intended, a misunderstanding, an argument, girl trouble, party trouble, tension, conflict, jealousy, insecurity. But if anything like that happens along the way and then the other person is just willing to walk away, pack their bags, or I'm done with you, we're not talking no more, you're not coming to my next party, don't bother coming back, I'm not going to call you, I'm not going to text you, I'm going to block you on Snapchat, anything like that, well then it wasn't meant to be, because there's got to be foundations, there's got to be understanding, there's got to be patience. And no, this isn't some kind of counsellor session or therapy session. This is just called basic, realistic fucking talk that, when applied to this case, can be applied to the community, and what's applied to the community can be applied to the case. That whilst what's happened has already happened and it can't be changed, it's in terms of the mindsets of people when looking into this case and the established connections and relationships with one another of the people of interest and those who are friends and partygoers of Noah Presgrove. Is it really that deep? Or has it been exaggerated so much that if it's been exaggerated with the Saturday past midnight going into Sunday morning argument of it being like a bit violent, aggressive when it wasn't, then the same that may have constructed that, is there a bit of doubt, question on what's been mentioned about Monday then, the argument there? See, when we look at footage, when we look at photos of Jack Newton and Noah Presgrove, it tends to be mainly positive. Basically, no, I'm going to change that, 100% positive. And in terms of all the other footage, what we've seen, just to make it fair, it's been 99.9% positive. The only small exception, you could say, is between Noah and Brylan Sweat. Even though it appears harmless, if you just wanted to put the argument across and say there was a little bit of tension, a little bit of heat, not a big deal, but still there is something there, well then you can say that small percentage fills the gap, the void. But you can't be saying it's 100% positive, right? I mean, okay, the argument between Noah and Jack doesn't sound too good, the past midnight one, but have we seen any hard evidence of it ourselves? No, but we're taking people's words for it. I guess the consistency factor, what needs to be acknowledged, besides the time factor, which is important, I mentioned that in the last video, be sure to check it out, is that when it comes to Justin Roy, what Justin says to some extent is consistent with what Caden Pressey says in terms of a argument did occur. Even Jack Newton acknowledges it as well. This is what you need, common ground of an event that did take place and can be backed up by a witness, backed up by one of the persons in the argument, and even backed up by a person who wasn't even there. All independently saying that an argument took place. But how many of those same said individuals are acknowledging the Monday argument? More so only Justin Roy and people in the community? I mean, if anyone has a screenshot of Jack Newton acknowledging that there was an argument on Monday, if you want to reach out, feel free to do so. See, done so many videos and been so much to talk about, there might have been a time where I've included a screenshot or quoted where it came from by another source about an argument on Monday, but to keep up with it all, I didn't do a dedicated video about it at the time, and if I did talk about it, it would have been amongst other discussion points in an overall video, so it can get lost with time. And for a case like this, which is quite deep and wide, you do need to go over stuff once again. You might have covered it already, but can you remember it? It's not always possible to do so. So many different events in this case from different viewpoints. So you could multiply, you could quadruple it in a way. Like, yes, Noah may have been involved in the side-by-side rollover and what he witnessed, but then you got the passengers and what they witnessed, and then a person that supposedly recorded it and what they witnessed, and then anyone else in between, what they witnessed. And then the viewpoint of those that did not witness it, but may have heard about it a bit later or was shown footage of it. Different sides and angles to the same event. And in terms of how people retell the stories of that event, it could sound like a completely different one, even though it's the same thing as to what someone else is talking about. It's just language and wording. That's why there's misunderstandings. That's why it goes wrong in the case and in the community. So these are just points I want to put across. And yeah, it's gone deep, but it's just what happens. So a situation with Noah and Jack on Monday, let's just put it like that. Would there be a difference in terms of connections and understandings when it comes to the likes of Jack Newton and Colton Newton, because there was tension there, was there not? Can I turn it off? There we go. I can acknowledge the other timestamps if you want me to, just whilst we're here. That I think it was 5:30, it's been said in the community and by people on the dark side, that that's when Jack supposedly woke up, and when Jack was, waking up unaware of any news of Noah's death, noticed Mikey Lair was still awake, never went to sleep. Okay. I mean, we've seen a Snapchat footage of 5:27 where Mikey's in bed, but his eyes are open. There is that. But interesting. I mean, a person could be in bed, or a person could be sat down resting. Don't mean to say that they're asleep. A person could have their eyes closed, but they're not actually asleep. So there will be exceptions there. But from 5:30 to 5:53, what did Jack do in between that time, right? Because 5:53 is when he texted his father Caleb about meeting at the lake ramp. We've seen the conversation ourselves. And in terms of the context of it, that's probably the one screenshot which is reasonable, which I think Justin Roy took himself. That was done somewhat well. 5:53, the timestamp, the timing of it. Could you meet me at the lake ramp? But if people on Reddit, the alternative page, were saying how the fishing trip was for the following weekend, well then what was Jack doing Monday morning then? And why was he going down the highway then? And why do we have this screenshot? I know you don't see it on screen, but we've done it in the past. 5:53, conversation between, just added correction, it wouldn't have been Justin Roy, as I mentioned previously. It couldn't have been Justin Roy because it was between Jack and Caleb. One of the two had the screenshot and then either posted it elsewhere and then reposted it again, maybe. I mean, did it give the actual day? It gave a time, but did it give the day? Right, so what I'm going to say, it's a little bit experimental, but hopefully there is at least one person, the right person from the Reddit page watching this. That screenshot between Jack Newton and Caleb Newton at 5:53. Oh, I've overslept. Could you meet at the lake ramp, relocate elsewhere, and that's where we'll do the fishing? And can you get me a spare hat because somebody messed with mine from the party? Was that on Monday? And if it wasn't, is that what justifies people on Reddit by saying it was the next weekend? I still see it as Monday morning, personally, because it makes sense. 5:53, you're unaware of what's going on. Getting ready to go down to the highway to go on to Waurika. But in the process of driving down this way, eventually you get to the point of, oh shit, what's going on here? And then you realise, the closer you get, your best friend is there, dead. Hits you hard. All his plans, which were supposed to go ahead, all off the table. This is important. 6:05, calling father upon the news of Noah's death. Makes sense. And then I guess Jack going back to the party house to let people know there. Obviously doesn't correlate with Kate and Pressy's timeline because it's a 1 hour, 15-minute time difference between them. That's unfortunate. The timing of when Noah had passed away. Jack Newton and Justin Roy's text conversation on Facebook. Jack said to Justin it was around 4 a.m. when Noah passed away. Now, maybe Jack was referencing what he's been told by the police or Zachary Wright that gave an estimate, but at least from the screenshot what we saw presented by Justin Roy, it didn't give any context before or after the conversation of those few text messages, meaning more could have been said, it could have been elaborated, might have been a backstory, who knows, but just didn't get to see it. That's unfortunate. Of course, that one screenshot makes Jack look suspicious, but unfortunately, if there is more context to it, which makes him less suspicious, it just wasn't provided. So was that an early attempt to paint Jack in a darker light, to make it out like he is the one to know? And if he is the one to know at the time, he must have been there to witness it. So then that must mean he might know more than others, he's hiding stuff, or he is the supposed alleged killer. So you get the idea of how it can be constructed with time, right? And to return back to the party, more so the argument situation, you know, is there a level of leniency between Noah and Jack and Colton? Because there was two separate troubles there with girl trouble. So as you can see, we moved on to the demonstration part, and visually, we've just got a handful of people here to represent the likes of, for example, Noah Presgrove, there, with the hair. And then one or two could be Jack Newton and Colton, and whoever that person is. And it's just to demonstrate the triangular situation of relationships, you know, by blood and then just by being best friends. Is there a level of leniency between one another when it comes to the girl trouble? Because that is the constants within this case, is it not? And basically, I'll try and demonstrate it right now. So if you got, and we'll only use the events such as the one that has been consistently acknowledged. So the past midnight going into Sunday morning, the original girl trouble of Jack going behind Noah's back. So just imagine Jack Newton, Noah Presgrove, yelling it out with one another. Is that close enough? I don't know. I would do it more so face to face, but like that. They're arguing with one another. Bit of a fallout, but the make-up after. So it was resolved to some extent, but did it flare up once again on Monday? Well, we don't know because not seen enough hard evidence or consistency of it taking place. But whilst that may have been resolved, it wasn't the same for, you know, by blood. And what I mean by that, you take Noah out of the picture and you bring in Colton. Colton Newton, which is Jack's older brother. And in terms of how that was acknowledged, Jack didn't acknowledge it to what I can remember. But Colton did at some point on Snapchat with a person asking questions about the party. Colton said that when it came to Saturday, when he was there, he was talking to Carter Combs in a room, in one of the rooms at one point. Just simply talking, hanging out. Jack Newton saw that and wasn't too pleased. And then I think it might have been a conversation over text. Jack told Colton, do not come back to the party the next day. So it looks like Jack may have been jealous, annoyed. How dare you, my older brother, go behind my back and talk to my girlfriend? You could say that's insecure. You could say it's controlling what a person can and can't do, who they can and can't see. But if there's any other context behind it, you can always provide it down below. It's just what Colton was referring to at the time, right? Colton was kind of told off by Jack, wasn't allowed to return back to the party. But Caden Pressey said that Colton did return back to the party. Do you remember that? Caden Pressey said Sunday night or going into Monday morning when Caden was resting or asleep, woken up or eyes opened by the noise of Colton, Travis Monson and a skinny guy returning back to grab alcohol. Were they sneaking back because they weren't welcomed? Or was Colton being quiet because he didn't want Jack to notice him? Didn't want to break the bond there, didn't want to cause any further trouble, but wanted to come back for something that they wanted, needed? Who knows? You could link it. But the problem is with Colton, besides Colton's threatening behaviour online, as we've clearly seen, Colton, furthermore, has, I guess, contradicted himself in a way by saying, yeah, I was there at the party on Saturday. But then on Facebook, Colton at a later point, I believe, said, no, I was never there. What's the whole point of that? This is yet another person that kind of goes under the radar. And whilst, yes, we can point out the likes of Caden Pressey for the inconsistencies, the discrepancies, the Caden's phone analysis and what's going on there. Is it being stalled? Is it a waiting game? What about Colton Newton for his switching and changing of, were you there? Yes, but no, I wasn't. Make your mind up, and threatening behaviour along the way. It's just not a good look. You may be innocent, you may not know much, but it's just not a good look. But in terms of the argument to some extent between Colton and Jack, brothers by blood. Jack, younger brother. Did Jack feel threatened by his older brother that he's going to take his girl? Who knows? But by saying, you're not welcome, you're not coming back to this party, even though it's not Jack's party, it's not Jack's house. It's interesting, isn't it? And what I'm getting at is, by blood doesn't always mean to say you're going to be better. Sometimes, you know, if you're not related by blood, but you're a best friend, you might get on better. You can say more, you can do more around people compared to others, colleagues or family. So there's always different dynamics and factors you've got to take in mind. So to be honest, in terms of the different situations, the triangular, it's not quite a triangle, but it'll do. Not that flirting actually took place, we don't completely know. But if Colton, let's just interpret it this way, not as a fact. But if Colton is seeing Jack's girlfriend behind his back and Jack finds out, Jack is entitled to be pissed off at Colton. But then if Noah finds out, which he did, supposedly, that Jack is going behind Noah's back and seeing Noah's girlfriend, what the hell is going on here? It's like a bloody triangular stranglehold of girl trouble and going behind each other's backs, some kind of Mexican standoff or so. No Bidi Garimo, it's not a standoff with makeup brushes, not yet. But it is interesting, is it not? That Colton may do what he does and Jack doesn't approve of it. But Jack can do stuff behind Noah's back and Jack still wants Noah back at the party. Interesting. So my question is, if Noah Presgrove pulled off a Colton Newton, as in talking to Carter, one-on-one, would Jack be like, hey, Noah, you ain't coming back to the party, go, I don't want you back. Oh, but because what we've heard from Caden, it was Jack doing the dirty work behind Noah. Jack wanted Noah back. Oh yeah, come closer to me. Really? And then Colton over here simply talking to Carter at least. Oh, I can't come back. I've been told off by Jack. There you go. So you see the different dynamics. There might be a greater understanding, a bit more patience towards best friends compared to brothers. It differs. It does differ from connection to connection in people's lives out there. But also the situation is greatly different that Jack's done something to Noah. Jack wants Noah back. Colton, for a misunderstanding or not, has done something to Jack and Jack doesn't want Colton back. That makes more sense. But with Noah, it's a bit odd. So there's that. It's worth highlighting. Now, just in terms of the dirt road, let's say, and the house is over there. I don't have all the props, but it shouldn't matter. It'd be clear enough that if an argument did take place on Monday, like how it was talked about a lot in the community in the early days, it's been neglected since, hence why this video is being made. Well, at what point, what time did this second argument break out on Monday? Because if Jack was asleep from 2 in the morning up to 5:30, then how can Jack have an argument with Noah? Is Jack getting out of bed or still in bed with the bed stuck to his back and a pillow stuck to his head and he's walking about, sleepwalking and having sleepwalking arguments with Noah? It's a bit wild, does it not? There's some counterpoints there. But if by some chance that Jack wasn't asleep all the time and there was a moment where Jack was with Noah, if you base it off Caden's timeline at least, that at 2:43 onwards, at that time, saw Noah, saw Jasmine and Jack near the beer pong table, so Jack was supposedly awake. But after 2:43 onwards, going up to around 3:30, when did Jack supposedly have that argument with Noah then? Because that's how it was worded. That it was Jack this time starting the argument with Noah. First one, it was Noah starting it with Jack. So what had Noah supposedly done in between to cause Jack to react the way he did? Oh, does it link somehow to the shower situation? That if someone like Colton can simply talk to Carter at a party and Jack doesn't like that and says to Colton, do not come back, that if Noah is getting washed down, or at least assisted into the bathroom, naked, and Carter's there, not that anything dodgy happens, but just being that close in an environment like that, a little bit intimate in a way, and Jack hears about that, well, based off Jack's reaction to Colton, Jack's reaction to Noah in the shower situation could be nuclear. Hey, look, I've covered this in the past. I've done videos about this, and it wasn't really cleared up then, so I think I've got every right to cover it once again now. I don't have a shower situation set, and I don't have like a Lego bathroom set. What do you think I am? But what we do have is a clean, sterile workplace, which, to be honest, could simulate a bathroom with it being white and clean. So is it possible that at some point Jack found out just before Noah went walking away about the bathroom, the shower, and Jack's outraged, and then Jack has it out with Noah outside? Depends at what time the argument takes place, of course. If I just give you a scenario, at least, which would reinforce and benefit some, but also paint Jack in a negative light by others, that would be if you're going down the dirt road, Noah is walking away, whether this is east towards the camera, walking away, and to a certain point, Jack is behind Noah. It's like, hey, turn around, look at me when I'm talking to you. Then has it out in regard to the shower or any additional dialogue, communication, interaction with Carter, and Jack is not happy. Did it lead to anything else? Who knows? See, one thing to acknowledge is I did get mixed up in the past when it came to Justin Roy, so that's why I re-asked him and he made it clearer. When I roughly remembered about an argument being a bit aggressive and pushing and shoving physicality, which could lead to a full-blown out fight or a grudge later, whilst Justin said that in Partners in True Crime interview, his first and only one, I interpreted it as the Monday argument and not the Saturday one, or past midnight. So, I don't know, like a month or two ago when I asked Justin or questioned, which one did you say was kind of like aggressive and pushing and shoving? Out of the two arguments, was it the Monday one or the Saturday one? And Justin said it was the Saturday one. So really, if the Saturday argument was the most aggressive, and yet they were able to recover and come back from that the Monday one shouldn't be as bad because that wasn't described as aggressive. So then it shouldn't be a big deal. And then it doesn't paint Jack in as much of a negative light. However, it doesn't always go that way. The first one could be the worst. The second argument, the second falling out, is quieter. And that deathly silence, that uncertainty. Oh shit, what have I done? Have I done anything wrong? Why is this person not reacting so aggressively? Why are they calm? Or why are they just simply disappointed in me? That's when you should be most worried, because when they act like that, you don't know what's going to come next. So there is that alternative. Now, the only other thing to highlight is if an argument did take place outside and at around the time of when Noah was walking away, not that it was the primary reason for Noah walking off to cool down, because most of it was a bedroom debacle. But in the process of Noah trying to get away to cool off from the others, did Jack tag along or come across Noah and then had the argument? Not that it led to anything, but then maybe Noah continued to walk off. But if it was outside, at what time exactly, and how far down the dirt road or near to the house? Because the closer you are to Noah, and for the length of time or a certain period of time, you might see more. You might get a better understanding of where he actually went. Okay, it's okay saying he went east. It's very vague, because from the party house going east, yes, it goes to the highway, but before that you got the railroad tracks, and then before that you got the house at the top of near to the highway. And whether that house was abandoned or not at the time, whether anyone was in there or not, it's just an opportunity to seek refuge if need be. There's a tree nearby to cool off, sit by, lean. There's other kind of like areas, items of interest to some small extent before actually getting towards the highway. So, not that Noah walked onto the highway. Noah may have walked towards the highway and stopped so far down the dirt path to either sit down, lay down, or if there was any vehicles nearby further down, to climb into one, and that's what then led on to the possible accidental death, in which anyone was leaving the party, got into the vehicle, which Noah wasn't aware of it was going to go. Noah asleep, then woken up by the movement on the highway, stood up, unaware of the driver's passengers. Noah falls out. Yes, I know that sounds very summarised, but I just wanted to throw it in there because we've done previous coverage of it. But of course, if an argument took place Monday, it's a significant event, because you can interpret it as, could it have led from one thing to another? And if not that, could it just have served as the purpose of a person witnessing Noah walking away? And who exactly? And on the Reddit page, there's been some conversations there too. To add on in regard to the Reddit page, the original, more bigger Reddit page, I saw a recent post where they were saying how, the reference of who actually saw Noah walking away from the party house, wherever Noah went, who was the witness to it, because that's not actually been said. It's not been mentioned. We don't know. No one's really said along the lines of that. And I'm thinking, what? So we're just writing off what's been said previously? Oh, but we'll acknowledge other stuff which is also based off hearsay. Just seems to be a bit of picking and choosing, to be honest with you. See, from what Jack has said. Jack has been most vocal about it, other partygoers haven't. And now Justin can say, why are we going all in on Caden? What about the other partygoers? Well, and what about Jack? Well, to be honest, whilst Caden Pressey may be at the top of the list for questioning and whatnot, not because he is the one responsible, just because he's put himself out there the most, meaning there is more material to work with. The more you talk, the higher the chances a mistake may be made along the way. The less you talk, the less you put yourself out there, the less room for critique and observations to be made by the general public. It's just how it is. Kind of the equivalent of, the more photos I show of my back, the higher the chances someone will say it looks like a pizza because of all the spots. If I don't show any photos of myself, then no one's going to make that observation, or it's less likely. It is what it is. But yeah, in regard to the Reddit page with partygoers who saw what, who was the last person, well, if it was Logan hasn't publicly spoken out about it. Or if it was Avery, from which I think some family members, it would have to be from the last Partners in True Crime interview with Ashley Chadwick, Robin Smith, that they said, well, we were told by Jasmine Millan telling us it was actually Avery Howard, Avery Combs, birthday girl, was the last person to see Noah walk away. And Jack Newton says, no, it was, well, he doesn't say no, he just says it was Logan. So who was it then? It could be two of them. It could be three of them. Maybe. It could be Logan and Avery. Avery and Jack, Jack and Logan, Jack, Avery, Logan. Could be all, who knows. But at least the one who's talked the most or tried presenting some stuff was Jack, of all people, the second in line for criticism, below Caden. Other partygoers just haven't spoken that much. It is what it is, it's unfortunate, but only so much you can do, right, when making your observations. So when people on Reddit, on the original page, say, we don't actually know, no one's actually said this or that, so we're just forgetting what Jack has said about Logan. Weird. It's weird, some of the discussions, but either way, hopefully you found the video somewhat interesting. There is only one last thing that needs to be done, and that's to acknowledge Joyce Burgow, a little ceremony, graduating the Warlight Ref University, but there's a slight chance that Joyce Burgow has already passed and graduated. This was an extended program, okay? We'll get to that in just a second. I just want to say, we have concluded for today in regard to Noah Presgrove. If you did join late or you want to rewind back to the case itself, start from the beginning of the video, right? Right now, we're doing something completely different. So Joyce Burgow, you may have not been present quite there last night because you were busy. Yeah, busy filling holes, but right now is the time to be present. And if not, Rebecca Gagliari, who, is talking on a completely new vibrational frequency when talking. That's why her last name is the way it's spelt. That when Rebecca is using that device, it's not Rebecca Gagliari, it's Rebecca Gagliari. Oh, make it stop. It will never stop. Rebecca. It just keeps on coming. Anyway, this is not about Rebecca. This is about Joyce Jump for Joy. Okay? It's time for the graduation. And I'll explain why it really is in just a second, but let me grab my tools. Okay? Won't be long. What do we have there? Well, we've got a banana. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've not forgotten Becca. We've got the fruit as well. Well, first, most importantly, it's time. Oh shit, the pins come off as well. Oh well. Is there any other, well, there is some additional details within here. I've got cotton wool. Okay, here we are. So, Joyce Burgow, cornhole competitions, tournaments, doing it in pairs, solos, one against all. Yeah, I've seen it, Joyce Burgow. You filled the holes so damn quick that the only other hole that was left to fill was your mouth. Yeah, that's why Rebecca decided to give you that fruit punch juicy fruit salad. Yeah, man. Oh my God. We'll get to that in a second. So, well done, Joyce Burgow. You are a 2nd degree black belt in graduating the University of Warlike Wrath. You have now joined the exclusive selective few of the Big Pussy Cat Club. Well done, Joyce. Oh my God, really proud of you. So who else about in the chat, watching in the background, who will be the next person to join and graduate the Pussy Cat Club? Anyone? I guess we'll see who bites first. Or claws. So, there you go, Joyce. You've now completed it. You want it now? Yeah? Oh, there you go. And to finish it off, come on, Rebecca. Get the fruit salad out. Just be careful, Becca. Sharon really likes fruit salad. She has it almost every single day, almost an hour a day, okay? So if the fruit salad disappears quick, we know who took it. Sharon did. Anyway, first of all, Becca did ask, do you want cucumber or do you want bananas? I prefer bananas because they're curved and better shaped. Cucumbers are a bit too long and a bit too green for me. A bit too big as well. But unfortunately, the only banana what we've got, of course, comes in XL size in the name of myself. We don't have a smaller one, unfortunately, so this will have to do. Okay, Becca, put it into the fruit bowl right now. Excuse me, Becca, do not be chopping the tip of my banana. Excuse me, that remains intact. You can shove it all into that bowl and deal with it, okay? Yeah? Okay, there we go. So we've got the big banana. That's what Joyce can nibble on when hungry. We've got a couple of apples with the little, what do you call them? Is it the cores, the little tip things? You twiddle them about, or you can twist them, and then they can, pop off, but I don't know why you want them popping off. So, Becca, you want to put the apples into the fruit bowl? Yeah? Okay, there you go. And last but not least, we've got to acknowledge the pear. We've got to put a pear in, correct? With the leaf attached as well, and, the little, what do we call that, black little nipple thing. So we've got the pear. Yeah, Becca, there you go. Oh, no. Oh, no, why has it got a face? I don't know. It must be a very special pear. Okay, I don't have any strawberries about, but I do have a pear, so that'll do. Okay. Oh, my God, Becca, I thought you said you cooked them already. It's still raw. Still raw. Okay, sorry about that, Joyce Burgow. Probably traumatise you now, that. Yeah, Joyce Bergow, next time you walk into a supermarket, or should we say a grocery store in the latest mall, and you're walking about, even with your homegirl Becca somehow, the next time you go to the fruit aisle, you'll see pears, and all you can think of is that they're talking to you in your sleep. They're talking to you. They do not want to be eaten. They want to be cared for. So put that into the fruit bowl. So you've got a lot to eat, Joyce Bergow, to refuel yourself for the next tournament. And if you want, here is an egg. It's more of a rubber one. It's not edible, but if you want the egg, you can. But oh my God, Beauty Garimo, I heard you want some eggs. There's some eggies. There you go. Eat it. Okay. So that's pretty much it. I think it's been a complete day in video. Well, the video itself. And yeah, that's it for now. If you want to share the video, hit the thumbs up. That'd be much appreciated. My name's Wally Rath. I'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.